Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is if you have your sun in Pisces and your moon in Capricorn. And I've done several videos so far with the combination of Pisces in the sun position or other water signs and having a moon and earth. And I think this works out very well because we all know that the water signs are emotional, and the moon is actually the expressor, if that's a word, of emotions, or the generator of emotions. So this combination can help to balance a person who is coming from that place in life that is much more associated with the feeling side of things. And so with Pisces, we have this very imaginative influence in the sun position. So the sun is kind of like the central theme of your incarnation, what you came here, how you came here to express your individual light. And this is a very important thing, your individuality. And Pisces is ruled by Neptune, which is all about dissolving. So you will see, and this can be with different Pisces or Neptune positions in the chart, that the person has a hard time with boundaries. So like, for instance, if somebody has their sun in conjunction with Neptune, they may have a very hard time having an identity. Now, they may not care about the fact that they don't have an identity, but other people can perceive them as kind of, I was going to say kind of sketchy, because people like to define others. That's just the bottom line. And there's something indefinable or undefinable about somebody who seems like they're kind of an open vessel of sorts. So this can show up as themes in a person's life in different ways. Well, in this case, having the sun in Pisces is one example. All Pisces people may struggle with identity in one way or the other. But it's really that the world is demanding this identity, and Pisces is otherworldly. So typically, the type of careers that you gravitate to are, well, or that you are well suited for, are connected to the arts and spirituality, because both of these fields are all about losing yourself in something bigger than yourself. If you think about an actor who loses him or herself in a role, or a painter who's becoming at one with the canvas. Sometimes I watch musicians in videos and you know that they're going into this zone. Or during the creative process itself, it can be like a channeling or a meditation. And of course, the spiritual fields, that's a direct channeling and whatever, those kinds of things, being a healer. But the other thing is, on the more mundane level, is the healthcare industry, because that service that Pisces is often, that sacrifice, can be something that nursing may be very appealing to a lot of Pisces people. Actually, the 12th house that Pisces rules is connected to hospitals. So there is that medical connection. And then we couple this with the moon in Capricorn. Capricorn is a cold sign. It's ruled by Saturn. It's also an earth sign. So it is not emotional. Capricorn, as a moon sign, can indicate somebody that needs to be successful, and it's an emotional need. It's a different vibe than when you have your sun in Capricorn. So I was going to say there's a weakness that I would associate with it. And I'm using these terms. I don't want to be negative, but what I mean is that I personally believe that the moon is the shadow side of a particular sign. And somebody wrote to me on YouTube and was saying, oh, that's not true or something. And maybe it is, I'm acting with prejudice, that I am associating the moon with these negative attributes. It's not about negativity. To me, it's about how do you differentiate the influence of the sun versus the moon? Well, we're talking about the emotional needs. When you have emotional needs, they are coming from a place of conditioning. If you think about it, the moon is even associated with karmic influences. So that is conditioning, that spans lifetimes. I don't know why people act like emotions. Oh yeah, what happened was I said that emotions are irrational. Maybe it was a water sign person who took offense to that, but they're irrational because they are being triggered by past events. Not everybody has the same emotional reaction to a particular event, a particular person, place, or thing. We don't all like the same things. We don't all get triggered by the same things. So this is what I'm referring to, and that's why I'm saying with the moon in Capricorn, the idea of success becomes something that it's like you need in order to feel okay, to feel emotionally, to have emotional well-being. So if somebody is struggling with their career, especially if they don't know what they want to be when they grow up and they're 30 years old and they're going through their first Saturn return and they still have no idea, that can be emotionally troubling to them. I mean, it can be. And it doesn't mean it's the end-all be-all negative experience, but it could be something that is challenging. If they had a different sun sign, they might have a different outlook. But the Capricorn moon, it doesn't matter what sun sign is. What I just said, scratch that, because I really do believe that it doesn't matter what sun sign you have, you would still have this emotional reaction. That's what I meant to say. So it's not that you're a Pisces. It's actually, come to think of it, Pisces might be more balanced with this because, again, you know that there's something more to life than worldly success. You just have that baked into you. So it might be a good balancer outer of that tendency. But what probably can happen, because just the nature of the way a human being operates, is that it might come and go. You might have periods of time where if you feel like you don't measure up in terms of your goals, that you are down on yourself. But then you get into that energetic resonance with the fact that you are more than just this character in this play called life in this very short time span, even if you live to be 150, that it's relatively short, and that you don't take yourself too seriously. So it might go back and forth like that. The moon can represent the mother. So the mother might have been, or is, continues to be, somebody that is very ambitious for you. And depending on the type of relationship that you have with her, this can cause a lot of inner conflict, because again, this is the classic case of the person who is a Pisces sun who might want to be an artist or might want to be a Reiki master, and they have a mother who wants them to become a lawyer or a doctor or something like that. And they really feel like they want to people please. That's one of the things about Pisces that leads to problems, is that you have to be able to stand your ground and not cave into cave to a parent that wants you to be what they want you to be. And you might be all too willing to accommodate them. And that would be to your own suffering. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to sacrifice yourself for others. The word sacrifice itself shows the problematic behavior that is connected to it, because when you are doing something to make another person happy, it's not a sacrifice if it's not depleting you. The people that are, very, very giving in life, they would never look at what they're doing as a sacrifice, because when they make other people happy, they feel happy. What I'm talking about is martyrdom, when you're suffering needlessly to make somebody else happy at your own expense. So in this case, there can be even more of a complicated, but like a more, like a deeper dive into what is the dynamics of this situation with this parent, where she may also have deprived you of affection. She may have treated you like a performing seal, where you were given praise, which you perceived as affection, when you were successful in her eyes. And when you're not getting those straight A's, or when you're not pursuing the type of career that she wants for you, then it's like you're persona non grata. And that kind of thing is something that you're going to have to conquer on your own. It's not going to magically go away a lot of times. And this is only obviously if you resonate with it. If you are an adult and you did not have that type of mother, then it's not going to happen to you at the age of 50. This is something that would have been an ingrained pattern starting from when you were young. It's called conditional love, and it's really not love, because it's not. It's because it is conditional, but it's still. I just want to say, though, this is very important, that even if you hear what I'm saying and you go, oh my God, that's me. When I said it's not love, it doesn't mean that the parent did not care at all. A parent who operates like that, oftentimes, they're really doing that to themselves as well. They don't have that capacity to love in a free way. There always has to be a catch. And sometimes these are narcissistic people. And, I don't believe that all narcissists are evil either. I think that some of them are just very lost, and they don't have the wherewithal to be able to interact with people in an honest, like in a very free way. There's always has to be a manipulation involved. So we don't have to take their issues to heart and believe that they're a reflection on us if you're dealing with that type of person. And the most important thing for a Pisces sun person to do is see people as they are, and not attach a fantasy to them, and not attach a story to them, which is kind of like an alternative narrative, which excuses them from their behavior as well, from their bad behavior. Because I think that is kind of a Piscean thing to do as well, is to try to make excuses for why that person is that way. And it's kind of like paradoxical because you don't allow anyone to, or you don't, it's like you're not excusing people for what they're doing that is really wrong, but at the same time, you're not expecting more from them. Because that oftentimes leads people to disillusionment. They were hoping that that person would change, would see the light, and when they don't, it becomes something that makes you feel sad and defeated. And it's really not about that. It's all about you. It's not about the other person. So how do you deal with having this ambitious nature and yet having the spiritual nature? I think knowledge is power. I think that you can really use that energy from the moon position in a great way. Because one of the nice things about the moon being kind of cold is that you probably will be less sensitive than the average Pisces individual. Of course, that depends on other factors. Where is your sun? Where is the moon sign? Maybe it's in the 12th house, and then it's going to be more sensitive, or in the 8th house or something like that, or the 4th house. Also, other factors, other inner planets, where are they? They could easily be in Pisces too, and that would make you more sensitive that way. But the bottom line is that it can make you more ambitious as a Pisces person, because Pisces is really not an ambitious sign in and of itself. It's very connected to the spiritual realms, so it knows that there is no such thing as time. Ambition is really time sensitive. People are like, I have to do this by, the time I'm this age and all that. And the Pisces person knows that that's an illusion. And that can be dangerous, because it can be very easy for a Pisces person to drift through life because of this knowledge. And so the bottom line is that if you have dreams and goals and things like that, make sure that they are your goals. Make sure that you're not doing something to please somebody else. If you know that you came here to do certain things, then go in that direction, even if you're not there now. If you're like in a totally a different reality and you feel stuck in your life, you can still take those little baby steps. It might start with researching what it is that you want to do, or where you want to live, or whatever those things are that are your goals. And then little by little, you can get there. Both of these signs in their own way have a tendency towards pessimism. And really with Capricorn, it's cynicism. There's a very cynical streak. And so I feel like this combination can have trust issues for sure, where you may, Pisces to me can be very gullible, very, because you're very innocent and very trusting. The Page of Cups, too trusting. And then you have, it's like, and I'm using this term just to be descriptive, like bipolar. Like, then you have this part that is very cynical and very suspicious of other people's motives. And it's like you're guarding your heart that way. So it can go back and forth, one to the other. Maybe it's in personal relationships that this really shows up, where you find it hard to give away your heart because, Pisces may have seen trauma and doesn't want to repeat it, and feels very, in some cases, I always think of Pisces as a fragile sign, but with the moon in Capricorn, it's going to be much less so. because you're going to have that kind of mentality or philosophy of, buckle up, buttercup, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. And this comes from perhaps even as a child having to take care of your own needs, whether they be physical or emotional, and not having that, maybe not having that nurturing that you needed. And the key is not to become too cynical or to become to be too idealistic, to find some kind of common ground. So you might veer from one extreme to the other. And that is imbalanced, and that's not going to lead to making good choices sometimes because, you might be overly pragmatic at times and do things just for the material gain. That would be that moon influence and the security. To me, the moon is like the emotional security, and so financial security. And you might do things for that reason, but the sun in Pisces can never be satisfied ultimately, I think, with financial security. You're just not a practical person overall. You're more connected to things that are beyond the third dimension, and so it's not something that can like pacify you, and therefore you have to feed that side of yourself and don't sell yourself short. Don't think that you can be okay with a steady paycheck and then you're going to not have to worry about anything. Actually, with the sun in Pisces, you could get very disillusioned, and Pisces is known as being an escapist. Neptune, your ruler, is connected to drugs and other forms of escape. So, and when I say drugs, I'm also talking about alcohol, any intoxicant, because, and not saying that all Pisces people are substance abusers, but it's something that it could be like, it could even be a sex addiction. It could be a, somebody who watches television all day and night. Anything to get away from your feelings. But the point is that that pattern of, selling your soul for a weekly paycheck can lead the person to try to escape their feelings of being trapped and feeling like they're doing something they don't want to do by indulging in mind-altering substances or other things. And the problem with that, we're not talking about this as a moral issue. We're talking about this as an insidious problem, because what happens then is that you start to lose that ambition altogether, and then you just can devolve into the escapist behaviors, and you don't have anything productive to have as a sense of feeling good about yourself. So that can be a very big trap. And you know what? It happens in our society as a whole. So I'm not saying that this is the only combination where people do that, but this is where I can see it happening very clearly, and that it could be a very clear trap. So if you're an ambitious person, that is cool. That is really cool, because it can help you to stay on course. But be ambition with your dreams, not somebody else's, and not with the lower nature's desire for a false sense of freedom, because it really is a false sense of freedom. Having a lot of money in the bank, having savings is cool. That doesn't mean that you are materialist because you have savings in the bank. But the problem is that if you attach some kind of emotion to it, that means that you feel like everything is okay now, even when you don't feel that it's okay, then you're kind of like gaslighting yourself, and you don't want to do that. So in terms of relationships, I feel like, you may have to break through some trust issues, some barriers that you have. You may find it hard to emotionally connect with a partner. So you have to express this to them so they don't get the wrong idea and say, emotions are a sore subject for me. If you went through trauma as a child, be willing to open up to people about that and let them know that that's why you're the way that you are, and that you're afraid of getting close to somebody because you're afraid that they're going to abandon you, or they're going to leave in some way, or they're going to betray you, betray your trust, and that you feel very scared to get close. That can at least save some of those relationships, because sometimes Pisces people tend to be secretive about their emotions. And with the moon in Capricorn, I could see that also restricting a person from being very open. Mainly they may not understand their emotions very well, and are always trying to control things. There's a very kind of a controlling element with Saturn, and a restrictive element too, we could say. And these two elements are harmonious, so there can be some good things that come of this. I do think I'm really delving into the more challenging things, because I feel like if you have good experiences, then you don't need me to tell you about them. But I don't mean to be overly negative. Actually, these two elements are compatible. They form a sextile, and they can mean that that for those people who are functioning very well, especially if you have your sun and moon within the degrees of the sextile. So I believe that would be about 10 degrees max. And the tighter the orb, or the closer the degrees, the more that it may manifest in a harmonious way. Then it will be more of that situation where your dreams are in alignment with your emotional nature. And the trine is the other very positive aspect. But with the sextile, you may have to still make some adjustments. More adjustments, and put more effort into it to have the result that you're looking for come out, but you can still do it. In terms of if your Venus is in Aquarius, your Venus and or Mars is in Aquarius, you will probably tend to be attracted to fire and air signs. Now, this may not be the best for you, because ultimately the sun sign has to be considered. They may be very, we could say, flashy or fun, but they might not be as grounded as Capricorn is. And you may find that there are some things where you are not in alignment with them. Of course, this is a total broad statement, and you have to look at the individual for that kind of thing. So in terms of the way this can manifest in your particular relationships, you might blow hot and cold. You might have, especially if you have Aquarius energy there, you might have a tendency to get very, to fall in love. Pisces is very romantic, but then you kind of shut down. And I think that shutting down is when you get fearful. So being very open about this, if this has been a pattern for you, for a potential partner that you really feel, might be the one, that's a good thing, because Otherwise, you could push people away and not even realize it. But I think that when you find that person, it could be, a great relationship. In terms of careers, I just mentioned the creative arts and the intuitive, as well as the medical field. And those are the top three that I see. Anything that is charitable, so a non-for-profit, especially if you have Mars in Aquarius and you have that social justice warrior vibe to you, you might want to do something that helps people who are disenfranchised in some way. And so that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a personal reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.